I was eating instant ramen between shifts at the campus cafe when my phone vibrated. A notification, a photo, my boyfriend, Jacob, standing beside another girl, his arm wrapped comfortably around her waist. She was laughing. He was looking at her the same way he used to look at me. The caption was short, "Finally with the person who makes everything feel right." For a long moment, I honestly thought it had to be a joke. Then I looked closer. His friends were commenting. "About time. You two are perfect together." Knew this was coming. My stomach slowly dropped. We were still together, at least. I thought we were. I called him. He answered after 3 rings. "Oh, just. Oh, noi. Noava. Nothing. I saw your post." Silence. Then he sighed. "I was going to tell you." "When?" Another silence. I didn't know how. "So instead, you announced your new girlfriend to the entire university. It's complicated." "No." I shook my head even though he couldn't see me. "It really isn't." Another pause. Then came the sentence I would replay in my head for weeks. "I didn't mean to hurt you." People always said that, usually right after hurting you. I met Lily during the internship. I closed my eyes. The internship, the same internship I had helped him apply for, the resume I had edited, the interview questions I had practiced with him, the suit I had helped him buy because he couldn't afford one, while I was working 30 hours a week to pay tuition. I had unknowingly been helping him meet someone else. "I think we've just grown apart." I laughed, not because it was funny, because it was unbelievable. "We had dinner together yesterday." "I know. You kissed me goodbye." "I know. And sometime between yesterday and today, you fell in love with someone else." He didn't answer. He didn't have to. The silence answered for him. Finally I asked, "So that's it. I think it's for the best." For words. 2 years. Gone. A minute later, a text message appeared. "I hope we can both be mature about this." I looked at it, deleted the conversation, blocked his number. Then I sat on the floor of my apartment, still wearing my work apron, still holding my phone. I didn't cry, not because I was strong, because I genuinely couldn't process what had happened. The tears came much later. The next day, campus gossip did what campus gossip always does. It spread, fussed. People stared. Some whispered. Some smiled awkwardly. Others didn't even bother lowering their voices. I heard Jacob upgraded. I always wondered why he dated Ava. She's nice, just kind of forgettable. Forgettable. That word hurt more than I wanted to admit. Maybe they were right. I wasn't exciting. I didn't go to parties. I spent Friday nights in the library. I worked every weekend. Every dollar I earned went toward tuition, graduate school, rent, survival. I wasn't the girl boys wrote songs about. I was the girl who reminded them to submit assignments on time. By Friday morning, I had already made a decision. No more dating. No more wasting time. Love wasn't an investment. It was a liability. I walked into my psychology lecture carrying a notebook, a cup of coffee, and a heart that had quietly decided never to trust another relationship again. Someone slid into the empty seat beside me, without asking, without hesitation, without any respect for personal space. I frowned. Ethan Walker, the captain of the university hockey team, campus celebrity, professional prospect, walking disaster. He smiled. "You look like someone who could use a favor." I really couldn't. "I think you could." "I don't." He rested one arm on the desk like we had known each other for years. "Trust me." I had absolutely no reason to trust him. Unfortunately, Ethan Walker had never been very good at accepting no. The first time Ethan Walker offered to pay me to be his fake girlfriend, I laughed in his face. The second time he offered $5,000. The third time he walked into my psychology lecture, sat beside me without permission, and announced, "You drive a terrifying bargain." The entire row turned to stare. I slowly closed my notebook. "What are you doing negotiating?" I already said no. "I know." He grinned. "That's why I'm still here." Unfortunately, Ethan Walker was the kind of person who treated obstacles like personal challenges, including me, especially me. Everyone on campus knew who he was. Captain of the university hockey team, future professional athlete, campus celebrity, walking headache, the type of guy who could walk into a room and immediately become the center of attention without even trying. I hated people like that. People who lived the life on easy mode. People who never had to worry about scholarships or tuition or working 3 jobs to stay enrolled. People like Ethan Walker. Unfortunately, my professor had other plans. After class, Professor Miller stopped me. Ava. I paused. Yes, I reviewed your graduate school application. My heart jumped. Professor Miller was the most respected faculty member in the department. His recommendation could change my future. And you have perfect grades. I smiled. Thank you. You have no leadership activities. My smile disappeared. You have no extracurriculars. I remained silent. You have almost no campus involvement. I already knew where this was going. I work 30 hours a week. Professor Miller folded his arms. I know. Then you know why I do. His expression softened slightly. But graduate programs don't only evaluate academic performance. I looked away. I hated hearing that because he was right. Being poor wasn't an excuse. Not in applications. Not in interviews. Not in life. You need to demonstrate interpersonal skills. I sighed. And how exactly do I do that? The office door opened. A familiar voice answered before Professor Miller could. Easy. I turned. Ethan Walker walked inside. I immediately frowned. No. Professor Miller looked amused. I haven't said anything yet. You don't need to. Ethan sat down comfortably, like this was his office. My grades are terrible. I stared. He continued. Ava is a genius. I stared harder. He pointed between us. Problem. Solution. Professor Miller nodded. You tutor Ethan. No. Ethan helps introduce you to student organizations. No, you both benefit. No. Professor Miller looked surprisingly pleased. Excellent. You've already begun communicating. 3 days later, I was sitting across from Ethan in the library. I hated everything, especially him. He spun a pencil between his fingers. I feel like we're bonding. We're not. I know your middle name now because you stole my student ID. You left it unattended. You stole it. He leaned back. You should smile more. I glared. His grin widened. There was something deeply wrong with him. The tutoring sessions became a regular thing. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 hours every evening. At first, I expected disaster. Instead, I discovered something annoying. Ethan wasn't stupid. He was lazy. There was a difference. A frustrating difference. Once he actually focused, he learned surprisingly fast. You're telling me you could have passed months ago. Probably. I nearly threw my textbook at him. He laughed. You look cute when you're angry. That's because you're mentally unstable. Possible. 2 weeks later, campus gossip exploded. A blurry photo appeared online. Ethan and I leaving the library together at midnight. The caption, hockey captain secretly dating top student. By morning, everyone had seen it. By lunch, everyone believed it. By evening, it somehow became a confirmed relationship. I was reading comments in horror when Ethan appeared. Good news. There is no good news. The coach loves it. What? The sponsors love it. What? The alumni office loves it. I put down my phone. What are you talking about? He sat across from me. The fake relationship. There is no relationship. There could be. I blinked. He smiled. Oh no. That smile meant trouble. Absolutely not. Ethan looked offended. You haven't heard my proposal. I don't need to. You do. No. He slid a paper across the table. I glanced down. A contract. An actual contract. My jaw dropped. You made paperwork. I respect organization. You play hockey. I contain multitudes. I hated how hard it was not to laugh. The contract was ridiculous. 3 months. Public appearances. Social media photos. Campus events. No real dating. No kissing. No emotional complications. At the bottom was a number. $5,000. I stared. Ethan noticed. That's your interested face. No, it's my horrified face. Looks similar. I ignored him. $5,000 could cover an entire semester of expenses. My scholarship had recently been reduced. I hadn't told anyone, not even my roommate, especially not Ethan. His expression shifted slightly. You need the money. I froze. How do you know? He shrugged. You picked up 3 extra shifts. I stared. You noticed. The question slipped out before I could stop it. For some reason, Ethan looked surprised. Of course. I noticed something weird happened inside my chest, something I immediately ignored. 2 days later, I signed. Worst decision of my life. Or maybe the best. At the time, I couldn't tell. I definitely couldn't predict that less than 3 months later, Ethan Walker would be sleeping on a hospital floor because he refused to leave my side. Or that 6 months later, he'd tell a room full of people he loved me. Or that 1 year later, I'd have to decide whether loving him was worth risking everything I had planned for my future. But all of that came later. At the beginning, there was only one thing: a stupid contract and a hockey captain whose smile should have come with a warning label. Part 2. Fake dating is a terrible idea. The first fake date lasted exactly 12 minutes before Ethan nearly got us kicked out of a restaurant. I think the waiter is afraid of you. The waiter immediately looked away. I sighed. He isn't afraid. He flinched because you interrogated him. I asked if he liked his job. You asked why he looked dead inside. Ethan considered this fair. I rubbed my forehead. 3 months. I only had to survive 3 months. How hard could that be? Unfortunately, Ethan seemed determined to test that theory. The problem wasn't pretending. The problem was that Ethan acted exactly the same whether people were watching or not. When cameras appeared, he pulled out my chair. When cameras disappeared, he still pulled out my chair. When reporters appeared, he carried my backpack. When nobody was around, he still carried my backpack. I finally confronted him. Why are you still doing that? Wait, the boyfriend thing. He blinked. We're fake dating. Nobody's watching. So, that answer somehow confused me more. Things got worse when his teammates became involved. I walked into the hockey arena one afternoon and immediately regretted it. Oh, a player pointed dramatically. Mom's here. The entire locker room erupted. Ethan looked completely unbothered. I stared. Did he just call me mom? Yeah. Why? One teammate answered. You make Ethan do homework. Another nodded. And eat vegetables. A third added. And sleep. Ethan threw a towel at them. I was trying very hard not to laugh. The hockey team noticed their expressions turned victorious. That was my first mistake. The second mistake was staying long enough to become friends with them. The third mistake was becoming friends with Ethan because friendship was far more dangerous than fake dating. Part 3. The moment everything changed. I realized something was wrong when Ethan stopped flirting. For the first month of our fake relationship, he flirted constantly. Every conversation, every text, every tutoring session. It was annoying, predictable, expected. Then one day, it stopped. At first, I thought he was finally growing up. Then I caught him staring at me during class. Not smiling, not teasing, just staring like he was trying to solve a problem that was somehow worse. Why are you looking at me like that? Ethan immediately looked away. Like what? Like you're about to diagnose me with a rare disease. His mouth twitched. I was thinking that sounds dangerous. Probably. I waited. He didn't continue, which was unusual. Ethan always continued. A week later, I found out why. I was studying in the library when a girl approached my table. Beautiful, blonde, confident, the kind of girl who looked like she belonged on magazine covers. You're Ava. I nodded. She smiled politely. I'm Meiji-san. I had no idea who that was. Apparently, my confusion showed. I used to date Ethan. Oh, that Madison. I recognized the name immediately. The ex-girlfriend, the famous one, the one campus gossip pages still talked about. I slowly closed my textbook. What can I do for you? Her expression softened. Nothing bad. That surprised me. She sat down. I just wanted to meet you. I remained suspicious. Why? Madison laughed. Because Ethan's completely gone. What? She leaned forward. I've known him 3 years. I blinked. She continued. I've never seen him like this. My stomach tightened. Like what? Terrified. I stared. Madison looked genuinely amused. He's obsessed with making you happy. I nearly choked. No. Yes. No. Last week, he spent 40 minutes arguing with a bakery because they got your coffee order wrong. I stared harder. Madison laughed. Trust me, that's not normal. That conversation should have made me happy. Instead, it made me nervous because I had started noticing things. 2. Little things. Dangerous things. Things that didn't feel fake anymore. Like how Ethan always remembered everything I said. Every random detail, every preference, every complaint, every dream. One evening, I casually mentioned wanting a specific psychology book. The book was out of print, impossible to find. 3 days later, it appeared on my apartment doorstep. No note, no explanation. I immediately called him. Did you buy this? What book? The psychology book. Silence. Maybe. Ethan, it might have happened. That book costs hundreds of dollars. Okay, I nearly screamed. Okay, you wanted it. Like that explained everything. Like my happiness was a perfectly reasonable reason to spend ridiculous amounts of money. The real problem arrived 2 weeks later. His name was Noah Bennett, graduate teaching assistant, former athlete, dangerously attractive and unfortunately interested in me. Very interested. The first time Noah asked me to dinner, Ethan was sitting beside me. I watched the hockey captain's expression transform in real time. Confusion, realization, disbelief, murder. Would you like to grab dinner sometime? Noah smiled. I opened my mouth. Ethan spoke first. We're dating. Noah looked at him. Congratulations. Then he looked back at me. Would you like to grab dinner sometime? I almost laughed. After Noah left, Ethan was unusually quiet. I knew something was wrong. For Ethan, silence was a medical emergency. Are you okay, Ethan? Fine. You look angry. I'm not. You look like you're planning a crime. His jaw tightened. I don't like him. I blinked. What? I don't like him. I stared. Why? He looks at you. I waited. I don't like it. My heart skipped. Dangerous. Very dangerous, because that didn't sound like fake jealousy. That sounded real. The next week was torture. Noah kept asking me out. Ethan kept getting grumpier. The hockey team started placing bets. My roommate nearly died laughing. Everyone seemed to know what was happening except the two people directly involved, me and Ethan. The breaking point came during a hockey game. The arena was packed. Thousands of students. The team was tied in the final minute. I was sitting with Ethan's teammates when Noah appeared beside me. Mind if I sit here? Before I could answer, he sat down. The entire row collectively stopped breathing because Ethan was currently on the ice and looking directly at us. I had never seen anyone lose concentration so fast. The opposing team nearly scored. His coach started screaming. His teammate started yelling. Ethan ignored everyone because he was staring at Noah, who was sitting beside me, smiling. After the game, Ethan stormed into the hallway, still wearing half his gear, still sweating, still looking furious. What was that? I blinked. What was what? You and Noah. My eyebrows rose. There's no me and Noah. He's interested in you. Okay. I crossed my arms. Why are you upset? His mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. Nothing came out because he couldn't say it. Not yet. That night, I couldn't sleep because a tiny voice inside my head kept repeating one terrifying possibility. What if Ethan wasn't pretending anymore? And the scarier question, what if neither was I? 3 days later, everything changed because a snowstorm stranded us in another city, and suddenly fake dating became the least of our problems. Part 4. One room, one bed. The hockey bus broke down at 11 at night in the middle of a snowstorm, in the middle of nowhere. I learned this because Ethan called me immediately. Why are you calling me? The bus died. I sat up in bed. What? The engine's dead. I frowned. Okay. There was a pause. Ava. What? I'm bored. I stared at my phone. You called because you're bored. Yes. I hung up. He called back instantly. By midnight, the team had managed to reach a small hotel. The problem was that every room was already booked except one room, one bed. The universe apparently enjoyed chaos. When Ethan called again, I expected another complaint. Instead, he sounded weirdly nervous. We got a room. Good. There's one problem. I immediately regretted asking. What problem? Long pause. One bed. I nearly dropped my phone. The next afternoon, the snowstorm got worse. Flights were canceled. Roads were closed. The team was stuck, which meant Ethan and I spent the next 8 hours texting. And somehow those 8 hours changed everything. We talked about things we had never discussed before. Family, fear, childhood, dreams, the real stuff. Not flirting, not fake dating, not jokes. Real conversations. At 2:00 00 in the morning. My phone buzzed. Ethan, you awake? Me, yes. Ethan, can I tell you something? My stomach tightened. Me, okay. Several minutes passed. Then another message appeared. Ethan, you're my favorite person. I stared at the screen. My heartbeat became impossible to ignore. No teasing, no joke, no sarcasm, just honesty, raw and simple. I read the message 5 times, 10 times, 20 times before finally replying. Me, you're not so bad yourself. His response arrived instantly. Ethan, that's basically a love confession coming from you. I smiled despite myself. The next message took my breath away. Ethan, I think meeting you was the best thing that ever happened to me. I didn't know how to answer because deep down I was starting to think the same thing. And that terrified me because our contract expired in less than a month and I no longer knew whether I wanted it to end. Part 5. The end date. The problem with fake dating wasn't pretending to fall in love. The problem was realizing you already had and having absolutely no idea what to do about it. Our contract ended in 23 days. I knew because Ethan had written the expiration date at the bottom of the agreement. At the time, it had seemed harmless, professional, temporary. Now, every day felt like a countdown. 23, 22, 21. The closer we got, the harder it became to ignore the tension between us. After returning from the snowstorm trip, Ethan became impossible, not in a bad way, in a terrifying way, the kind that made me question my emotional stability. He started showing up everywhere, not because he had to, because he wanted to, at the library, outside my classes, near the coffee shop where I worked. At first, I accused him of stalking. His response was immediate. If I was stalking you, you wouldn't notice. I threw a napkin at him. He looked entirely too pleased about it. One afternoon, I found him asleep outside a study room. His hockey bag was beside him. His head rested against the wall. Dark circles sat beneath his eyes. For once, he looked exhausted instead of invincible. I nudged his shoulder. Ethan. His eyes opened immediately like he'd been waiting. You finished. You've been sitting here. He stretched. Yeah. Why? He looked confused by the question. You said you had a difficult presentation. I stared. So, I wanted to know how it went. Something tightened painfully in my chest, because nobody had ever waited for me before. Not like that. How was practice? I asked quietly. His expression shifted. Tiring. You look exhausted. Coach is pushing us. I hesitated, then reached into my bag. His eyes followed the movement. I pulled out a granola bar. Eat. He laughed. You carry emergency food. I carry emergency Ethan food. His smile disappeared. Not because he was upset, because I had accidentally said something too honest. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he took the granola bar. His fingers brushed mine. The contact lasted less than a second. My pulse immediately betrayed me, judging by Ethan's expression. His did too. Neither of us mentioned it. Neither of us needed to. The next week, disaster arrived in the form of graduate school interviews. I had spent years working toward them. Years, scholarships, part-time jobs, perfect grades, countless sleepless nights. Everything depended on these interviews. Everything. The first interview went badly. The second went worse. By the third, my confidence had completely collapsed. I left the building feeling numb. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe everyone else was smarter, more impressive, more qualified. Maybe I had spent years chasing something impossible. I was halfway across campus when someone grabbed my backpack. I turned. Ethan. Of course. How did it go? I forced a smile. Fine. Ava. He stared at me. I stared back. Then I sighed. It was terrible. He nodded, his expression softening immediately. Come on. What? Come with me. I'm not in the mood. I know. 20 minutes later, we were sitting alone in the hockey arena. The stands were empty, the lights dim, the ice untouched. It felt strangely peaceful. Ethan sat beside me, close enough that our shoulders nearly touched. Not quite, just enough to make me aware of him. I failed my first team tryout. I blinked. What? He shrugged. I got cut. My head turned. You never told me that. Nobody knows. That surprised me. Ethan never seemed embarrassed about anything. I was 16. His gaze remained on the ice. I thought hockey was over. I listened quietly. My dad told me maybe I wasn't talented enough. My chest tightened. The words sounded casual. They weren't. What happened? Ethan smiled slightly. I got angry. That sounded like him. So, I trained every day for 6 months. He looked toward me. Then I made the team. Silence settled between us. Not awkward. Comfortable. The kind that only existed between people who trusted each other. Finally, he spoke. Ava, what? You are the smartest person I've ever met. I rolled my eyes. I'm serious. Ethan, I'm serious. His voice stopped me completely. You work harder than anyone I know. His eyes held mine. When something matters to you, you don't quit. I swallowed. So don't decide you're failing before they do. The words hit harder than they should have, because they came from him, because he believed them, because part of me needed someone to believe them. My vision blurred unexpectedly. I looked away, embarrassed. Ethan, what? You're being nice. His grin appeared. There she is. I laughed despite myself. The tension broke, the heaviness eased, and somehow breathing became easier again. A week later, the interview results arrived. I got accepted, not to one program, 3. I screamed. My roommate screamed. The entire apartment screamed. Then I immediately called Ethan. He answered on the first ring. You got in. I froze. How do you know? I can hear you smiling. My heart did something alarming. I got in 3 programs. I blinked. How do you know that? He laughed. Professor Miller told me. I groaned. Of course he did. I'm proud of you. The words were simple, yet they affected me more than congratulations from professors, more than emails, more than acceptance letters, because Ethan knew what it had cost, the sacrifices, the fear, the years, and he was proud anyway. That night, I couldn't stop smiling, which was unfortunate because my contract with Ethan expired in exactly 7 days, and for the first time since signing it, I didn't want to end. Unfortunately, life wasn't finished making things complicated because 2 days later, I discovered Ethan had been hiding something from me, something huge, something that could change his entire future and possibly ours. The news arrived from one of his teammates, Ava. I looked up. He hesitated. You know, Ethan got offered a professional contract. Right. My stomach dropped. What? The teammate frowned. You didn't know. No, I didn't. And suddenly, one terrifying question appeared in my mind. If Ethan signed with a professional team, would he leave? Part 6. The contract was never the problem. I didn't call Ethan immediately. That surprised everyone, including me. Apparently, most girlfriends would have. Most fake girlfriends definitely would have. I wasn't either of those things, at least not yet. Instead, I went home, made coffee, opened my laptop, and thought, because there was a huge difference between Ethan received a professional contract offer and Ethan accepted a professional contract offer. People confuse those two things all the time. I didn't. The next morning, I went to tutoring. Ethan arrived 10 minutes late. His hair was damp from practice. His hockey bag landed beside the chair. He looked exactly the same, which somehow made everything worse. You got a professional offer. The words left my mouth before he even sat down. Ethan froze. His expression immediately changed. Not guilt. Not exactly. More like annoyance. The kind of annoyance people feel when someone tells their secret. Who told you? A teammate. He sighed. Of course. I waited. He didn't elaborate. Ethan, what are you going to sign? His gaze met mine, and for the first time in weeks, he looked genuinely uncertain. I don't know. That answer surprised me. I expected confidence, certainty, a plan. Instead, he looked like someone standing at a crossroads. Why? The question slipped out. His fingers tapped the table, a habit he had whenever something bothered him. Because if I sign now, I leave after the season. I nodded. That made sense. Professional opportunities didn't wait. And he looked away. That was never a good sign. And there are things here I don't want to leave yet. My pulse immediately misbehaved. I ignored it. You mean hockey? No. The answer came too quickly, too honestly, too directly. The silence stretched. Neither of us looked away. Then I did something very Ava Carter. I asked the uncomfortable question. Are you talking about me? Ethan almost choked. For some reason, that made me feel better. His ears turned red. Actually red. I didn't know that was possible. Ava. No. I raised a hand. If you're talking about me, say it, because I was tired. Tired of half conversations. Tired of pretending neither of us noticed what was happening. Tired of dancing around obvious things. I wasn't afraid of feelings. I was afraid of confusion. Those were different. Ethan stared at me for several seconds, then exhaled slowly. Yes, the single word landed heavily. My heart reacted immediately. Unfortunately. Okay. His eyebrows rose. Okay. Yes. Now he looked confused, which was fair. Ethan, I like you. His eyes widened. I continued before courage disappeared. I've liked you for a while. The room became completely silent, but that's not the actual issue. His expression shifted. The issue is whether you're making good decisions. He blinked. What if you reject a professional contract because you're emotionally attached to someone you've technically dated for less than 3 months? That's a terrible decision. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. I pointed at him. You're not allowed to destroy your future and call it romance. For a second, Ethan just stared. Then he laughed. Actually laughed hard. What? I folded my arms. Only you would confess your feelings and lecture me in the same conversation. I contain multitudes. His grin immediately returned. That's my line. Find a new one. The smile stayed on his face, but his eyes softened dangerously. You really like me. I rolled my eyes. Don't make this weird. You like me, Ethan. You actually like me, Ethan. The grin became unbearable. I'm framing this conversation. I threw my pen at him. He caught it, still smiling, still impossible. And somehow that wasn't even the most important thing that happened that day, because later that afternoon I discovered our fake dating contract expired in 48 hours, and neither of us had mentioned renewing it. Not once, because both of us already knew something. The contract had stopped mattering weeks ago. The real question was much scarier. What happened after it ended? That evening, Ethan showed up outside my apartment holding the original contract. Without a word, he handed it to me. I stared. Then he produced a lighter. My eyebrows rose. Ethan, what are you doing? It's symbolic. You've definitely committed crimes before. Focus. I laughed despite myself. Then Ethan held out the lighter. Ava. His voice changed. The teasing disappeared. The jokes disappeared. Everything disappeared, leaving only honesty. We can burn it. My heartbeat accelerated. Okay, but before we do, his gaze locked onto mine. I need to ask you something. The atmosphere shifted instantly because I absolutely knew. And judging from the look on Ethan's face, he was terrified, which meant this mattered a lot more than hockey, more than contracts, more than fake dating. For the first time since I met Ethan Walker, the fearless hockey captain looked nervous, and that made my own heart start racing. Part 7. The question. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The contract sat between us. The same contract that had started everything. 3 months. Fake relationship. No emotional involvement. No complications. Looking back, it might have been the most unrealistic document ever written. Ethan held the lighter. I held the contract. Both of us were suddenly very interested in avoiding eye contact, which was ridiculous. We'd survived arguments, jealousy, snowstorms, hockey games, graduate school applications, and approximately 10,000 sarcastic conversations. Yet, this was the moment making us nervous. Finally, Ethan exhaled. I had a speech prepared that surprised a laugh out of me. You prepared a speech. His expression became offended. I am capable of preparation. You forgot 3 tutoring sessions. That was strategic. That wasn't strategic. It could have been. The tension eased just enough. Then Ethan looked at me, really looked at me, and every joke disappeared. I don't want to fake dates you anymore. My heart skipped. Good. The answer came immediately. His eyebrows rose. Good. Yes. For the first time all evening. Ethan seemed unsure, which was interesting because Ethan usually walked through life with the confidence of someone who believed gravity worked differently for him. I folded the contract carefully. Ethan, what? If you ask me to continue fake dating you, I'm going home. His eyes widened. I wasn't going to ask that. Good, because I wasn't interested in pretending anymore. Not when I already knew how I felt. Not when he clearly knew too. The silence returned. This time softer, warmer. Then Ethan smiled. Small, almost nervous. Ava Carter. I immediately became suspicious. Why do you sound like you're proposing a business merger? His laugh escaped, then faded. Because this wasn't a joke. I like waking up and knowing I'll see you. My heartbeat accelerated. I like when you text me reminders. I smiled, even though half of them are threats. They're educational threats. He ignored that. I like that you never treat me differently because of hockey. His gaze held mine. I like that you challenge me. The smile slowly disappeared from my face. Because Ethan wasn't flirting. He wasn't being charming. He wasn't performing. He was telling the truth. And somehow that was far more dangerous. I like that you make me want to be better. My chest tightened. Ethan. No. He shook his head. Let me finish. I nodded. For once, I didn't interrupt. I've spent most of my life being good at hockey. His voice softened. It's the thing everyone sees. I understood that. People saw the athlete, the captain, the future professional. Very few people saw Ethan. The weird thing is a small smile appeared. The person who makes me feel most like myself is you. The words hit harder than any grand declaration ever could, because they were specific, honest, personal. Not you're beautiful. Not I can't live without you. Not something dramatic. Something real. His hand moved toward the contract. This thing was supposed to solve a temporary problem. I nodded. It did. Then he looked directly into my eyes, and it accidentally gave me something permanent. My breath caught. For once, Ethan seemed completely serious. No escape route. No joke waiting behind the next sentence. Just honesty. Ava. My name sounded different when he said it. Careful, like it mattered. I don't want 3 more months. The lighter disappeared into his pocket. I don't want another contract. His voice lowered. I just want you. The world became very quiet. Not because of some magical movie moment. Because my brain had temporarily stopped functioning. A rare event. Ethan noticed immediately. Did I break you? Hey, there she is. Relief flashed across his face. Then I took a step closer because there was something important Ethan needed to understand. Something I needed to say. I like you. His smile appeared instantly. I know. Don't interrupt. The smile became larger. I pointed at him. This is serious. I'm being serious. You're smiling. I can't help it. That answer was annoyingly adorable. I ignored that fact. As I was saying, Ethan straightened dramatically. I rolled my eyes, then continued. I like you. My voice softened a lot. His expression immediately changed because he realized where this was going. But I also have plans. He nodded. I know graduate school. I know my career. I know. I am not giving those things up. Something warm appeared in his eyes because he understood. Because he had been paying attention all along. I don't want you to. The answer came instantly. No hesitation. No argument. Just certainty. If you get into the best program in the country, you should go. I stared. Even if it's across the country. Yes. The answer hurt him. I could see it. But he said it anyway. Because sometimes love wasn't about holding on. Sometimes it was about wanting the other person to succeed. Even when it made things harder. That mattered more than flowers. More than speeches. More than grand gestures. It mattered because it told me exactly what kind of man Ethan was becoming. Not someone asking me to shrink my future. Someone willing to grow alongside it. The realization settled quietly inside my chest. And suddenly the decision became easy. I smiled. A real one. Not polite. Not careful. The kind reserved for people you trust. Then I reached forward and took the contract. Ethan watched. Curious. I folded it once. Twice. 3 times. Then handed it back. What now? He looked confused. Aren't we burning it? I shook my head. No. His eyebrows rose. Why not? I smiled because one day we're going to laugh about this. His expression softened and I pointed at the contract. I want proof that this ridiculous idea happened. The grin returned. I was right about what? You're sentimental. I gasped. The audacity. You kept the coffee cup from our first fake date. I froze. His smile became victorious. You found that. Oh, I found everything. I immediately regretted every life choice that had led to this conversation. Ethan laughed. The sound echoed through the quiet evening. Then he stepped closer, close enough that my pulse became impossible to ignore, close enough that I could see the tiny scar near his eyebrow, the one he'd gotten during a game last year, close enough that neither of us was pretending anymore. Ava, what? Can I kiss you? The question surprised me, not because he wanted to, because he asked. Ethan, who usually charged into situations like a human wrecking ball. Ethan, who rarely hesitated. Ethan, who looked genuinely nervous, waiting for my answer. That mattered. So I smiled. Finally, his eyes widened. Finally, do you know how long you've been staring at me? He laughed. Then he kissed me. Unlike every fake moment before it, there was nothing pretend about this one. No contract, no audience, no arrangement, no expiration date, just us. Months later, when Ethan signed his professional contract, I was the first person he told. Months after that, when I accepted my graduate school offer, he was the first person I called. Long distance wasn't easy. Neither of us expected it to be. There were missed flights, bad schedules, video calls that lasted until 3:00 in the morning, arguments, compromises, patience, real relationship things. But we made it work because the strongest part of our relationship had never been attraction. It had been friendship, the ability to talk, to listen, to challenge each other, to choose each other, again and again. 2 years later, I stood beside the ice after one of Ethan's professional games. The crowd was still cheering. Reporters were waiting. Fans were screaming his name. Yet, the moment he saw me, his entire face changed like I was still the first thing he looked for. The same way he had outside libraries, outside classrooms, outside coffee shops all those years ago. He skated straight toward the glass, grinning. I shook my head. What? He mouthed. I smiled. Nothing. Because some stories begin with fake dating. Some begin with a deal. Ours began with a contract neither of us intended to take seriously, and somehow became the best decision either of us ever made. Extra chapter. The kiss everyone saw. The first sign that our relationship was about to become public was the fact that Ethan completely stopped caring who was watching. Not in an irresponsible way, in an Ethan way, the kind of way that made my life significantly more complicated. You're staring. I looked up from my laptop. Ethan was sitting across from me during a video call. Professional hockey had taken him to another city. Graduate school had taken me to another state. Long distance wasn't glamorous. Most of our conversations involved homework, exhaustion, and reminding Ethan that eating pizza 3 times a day wasn't a nutrition plan. You have a meeting in 10 minutes. I pointed at his calendar. He ignored it. You miss me. I saw you last week. You miss me. I sighed. You're impossible. His grin widened. That's not a no. Unfortunately, it wasn't. 2 years into our relationship, we had become very comfortable, the kind of comfortable that came from surviving difficult things together, the kind that felt less like fireworks and more like home. The problem was that fans had started noticing a lot. Ethan never officially announced relationships. Neither had I. It wasn't a secret. It just wasn't public. Then someone noticed the same girl appearing in photos, the same girl sitting beside Ethan's parents, the same girl wearing his team jacket, the same girl he always looked for after games. Internet detectives became terrifyingly efficient. One sports account posted a picture of me leaving the arena. Another found an old campus photo from our fake dating days. Another somehow discovered a hockey game selfie from 3 years ago. The comments exploded. Wait, is Ethan Walker taken? That's the same girl from college. No way. They're still together. This is actually cute. Bro looks at her like she invented hockey. That last comment went viral, mostly because it was true. I learned this when Ethan sent me a screenshot. Ethan, bro looks at her like she invented hockey. Ethan, accurate. Me, your ego is concerning. Ethan, you love me. Me. Unfortunately, his response was immediate. Ethan, screenshotting this. Me, don't. Ethan, too late. 3 weeks later, Things escalated because Ethan's team qualified for the playoffs. The arena was packed, every seat filled, media everywhere, national broadcasts, thousands of fans. I was sitting beside Ethan's parents, a place that had somehow become normal. His mother squeezed my hand. "He's looking for you." I glanced toward the ice. Sure enough, Ethan was skating warm-ups and somehow looking directly at me. I waved. His entire face lit up. His teammates immediately noticed. One of them nearly crashed into another player because he was laughing so hard. I buried my face in my hands. Ethan looked delighted. Naturally, the game itself was chaos. Overtime, tied score, playoff pressure, 40 minutes of me forgetting how breathing worked. Then Ethan scored. The arena exploded. Thousands of people jumped to their feet. The sound was deafening. His teammates tackled him. Fans screamed. Commentators lost their minds. I was still processing what happened when Ethan suddenly looked toward the stands, toward me, and smiled. The exact smile that used to appear across library tables. The one that always made my heart misbehave. His team won. The crowd kept cheering. Players celebrated. Reporters rushed onto the ice. Then Ethan did something completely unexpected. He skated directly toward the glass, toward my section. The crowd noticed immediately. People started filming. My stomach dropped. Oh no. Oh, absolutely not. I knew that look. That was Ethan's about to do something ridiculous face. His teammates knew it too. Several of them started laughing. One actually pointed at me. Traitor. Ethan reached the boards. The arena cameras followed him, which somehow made everything worse. He pointed upward at me. The crowd erupted again. "Ethan," I mouthed. His grin widened. "Dangerous. Very dangerous." Then he held out a hand. My eyes widened. "No. No chance. Absolutely not." The crowd immediately started chanting. The realization hit me like a truck. They knew. Not officially, but they knew. Thousands of people suddenly understood exactly what was happening, and apparently they loved it. "Do it," one teammate shouted. The entire arena became louder. I hated all of them, especially Ethan, who looked entirely too pleased with himself. His mother was laughing beside me. No support whatsoever. I took the stairs down, mostly because refusing would create an even bigger scene. The crowd cheered every step, which was humiliating and slightly sweet. Mostly humiliating. I reached the glass. Ethan was waiting, still smiling, still impossible. "Hi." His voice carried through the opening near the bench. I stared. "You're causing problems. You came. Everyone is watching." I noticed that was not a reassuring answer. The crowd was losing their minds. Phones everywhere. Cameras everywhere. Reporters everywhere. And Ethan somehow looked like none of it existed. Like there was only me. The same way he'd looked at me since college. The same way he always did. His expression softened. "I love you." My heart stopped because he said it, so casually, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Like breathing, like gravity, like a fact. The arena collectively lost control. And before I could respond, Ethan reached forward, grabbed my hand, and kissed me right there beside the ice in front of 20,000 people, in front of cameras, in front of the entire internet. The crowd exploded, actually exploded. I could barely hear myself think. When he finally pulled back, he looked ridiculously happy. "You know that's going everywhere, right?" "Hopefully." I laughed. "Hopefully. I've been waiting 3 years." My eyebrows rose. "For what?" His smile softened. "To stop pretending you're a secret." The answer hit me harder than the kiss, because Ethan had never hidden me out of embarrassment. He had protected what we had because it mattered, and now he was proud of it, proud of us. The next morning, every sports account in the country posted the clip. Hockey star Ethan Walker kisses longtime girlfriend after playoff win. Ethan Walker finally goes public. Fans obsessed with Ethan and Ava's college sweetheart story. The comments were somehow even better. "Bro won the game and the girl. He looks at her like she invented hockey." Wait, they started as fake dating. This is a romance novel. Someone turned this into a drama immediately. Ethan sent me the screenshots. Naturally. "Ethan, they figured out you invented hockey." Me, "I'm blocking you." "Ethan, you love me." I smiled because, after everything, the fake dating, the contract, the long distance, the uncertainty, the years, he was still the same ridiculous hockey captain who refused to leave me alone. And honestly, I was pretty happy he never did. Epilogue. 5 years later. Sports commentators still occasionally replay that playoff kiss. Ethan still claims it was spontaneous. His teammates insist he planned it for weeks. I believe the teammates. Ethan denies everything. Nobody believes him, including